Ahmed has inaugurated the newly built sports venue in the area of Sarbet, Nefas Silk Lafto subsidy of Addis Ababa. The sports venue, according to the Office of the Prime Minister, aims to develop future sports persons and to create a generation well developed in various areas. We have built a sports facility that will develop and help us create a generation that is physically, morally, and intellectually developed. We will press ahead with expansion of similar sports centers in every other place across the nation, the Prime Minister has said. Now, Ethiopia has achieved diplomatic milestones on the fringe of the 36th African Union Summit. The fruitful discussions with foreign presidents and ambassadors on the sidelines of the annual continental event have helped the nation expand its frontiers in the world of diplomacy. That's according to Taye Asqassalasie, the Prime Minister's advisor on foreign relations policy. Kasaon Chan has more on that.
In a joint statement following the conclusion of the 36th regular summit of the leaders and a 42nd meeting of the African Union Executive Council, the Foreign Relations Policy Advisor to the Prime Minister, Taye Asqassalasie, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Misganu Araga, and a Deputy Commissioner General for Crime Prevention with the Federal Police Commission, Malaku Fanta, highlighted Ethiopia's achievements in areas outstanding diplomatic capabilities and dealing with exemplary issues like wars, conflicts and natural disasters, among others. Taye stated the President of Guinea-Bissau's visit to Ethiopia on the eve of the summit is intended to strengthen bilateral ties in a variety of areas. Prime Minister Abiy applauded the foresight of the early Africans who established the Organization of African Unity 60 years ago to assure African collaboration. Taye added.
ሀገራችን አዳዲስ ሐሳቦችን በማክፈቅ ብቻ ሳይሆን ተግባራዊ በማድረግ እንዲሁም ደግሞ
The PM's delivery speech included fresh concepts that will contribute to Africa's continued success in the future, drawing attention to the fact that Africa can deal with its issues on its own. By working together, he stressed Africa can confront and overcome its problems such as climate change. He used Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative as an example.
Misganu Araga, State Minister for Foreign Affairs, stated that the AU summit has developed into a crucial venue for facilitating Ethiopia's diplomatic efforts. He noted that the summit had outstanding participation and was successfully ended, and that discussions were handled in a way that protected Ethiopia's national interest.
During the summit, Ethiopia's peace journey and the great lengths it has gone to in finding a solution under the auspices of the AU were said to be exemplary for the continent. Having the opportunity to participate in the various sideline events during the summit helps Ethiopia further reform itself of the facts on the ground with regard to ways of solving African problems by Africans themselves. During the discussions, Ethiopia had an opportunity to promote the outstanding successes it has achieved in bringing peace with the TPLF.
Likewise, Malaku Fanta, Deputy Commissioner General for Crime Prevention with the Federal Police Commission, indicated that there were no security challenges throughout the summit in terms of peace and security. The collective efforts of the Joint Security Task Force before and during a summit, as well as the general public's cooperation and hospitality, were also commended by the Deputy Commissioner General.
Now, whenever we talk about the month of February, we're bound to talk about the landslide victory of Adwa. This year, Ethiopia is commemorating this victory in the aftermath of the AU summit, which this East African nation has successfully hosted. So what's the relationship between Pan-Africanism and this victory of Adwa? In this regard, I'm joined in the studio by Akalu Abraham, who is a Pan-Africanist and ambassador of peace. Thank you so much, Akalu, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So historically, how significant is the month of February when it comes to Ethiopia in particular and the continent of Africa in general?
Sure. February is a great to mean, especially for Ethiopia, and then you can take it in general for the continent also too. All the black nations, even living in the world, can also commemorate the February, because February is meant to be the months of the Black History Month. So that is what we take from that. And then why is that? Because during on the months of February, there are a lot of events were happen, especially the great one is Adwa. Right? And then also we have also recently we celebrated or we commemorated even the 12th of February. The fascist Italian killed the 35,000 of innocent Ethiopians, and then they killed the mothers and the children and like that. So it was a very touching moment that we're commemorating, and that already ignited, especially the February of Ethiopian movement also ignited all African, also all international community in general, especially the black nations also too. So it's very significant. February means a lot for Ethiopians, for Africans, for in general, for black nations in the world. If you take, what we learn from this, our ancestors, our forefathers, our foremothers died for the sovereign nation, for the dignity of humanity, for the reputation of its citizen, all right?
Yeah.
And then they were died for that. So we have to learn that why people died like that. So they died or they killed for the sake of saying no to the supremacy of the whites. That is living celebrating the humanity at the same time. So it's a very touching moment. February means a lot for Ethiopians and Africans and then black nations in general, I can say.
Yeah, indeed. So what specifically has the victory of Adwa to do when it comes to the idea of Pan-Africanism, and what's the role this landslide victory has played in the
Sure, exactly. You see, that was the moment when after Adwa already ignited many more African nations to free themselves from colonialism. That is the amazing moment that Adwa played for the black nations. That is Pan-Africanism, where it started. You see, it was I think you remember Organization of African Union started. Right. Established in 1963. That was the spirit of Adwa brought Pan-Africanism in general, I can say. So what we learn from that, if you take so, we need to be united as one, as an African, as human. We need to have solidarity in between. We need to think for each other and then bring this nation to the next level. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to see the same old stories. So the concept of Pan-Africanism must be immersed in this generation as well. So that is what we learn from the concept of Adwa and the Pan-Africanism. So it's a huge, we cannot finish it in a short period of moment. Maybe.
Definitely huge indeed. Kalu, thank you so much for that wonderful idea.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, moving to other stories, senior Ethiopian delegation led by Minister of Finance Ahmed Shide has arrived in Beijing, China for an official visit. The objective of the visit is to discuss bilateral trade, investment and economic cooperation between the two countries. That's according to the Ethiopian embassy in Beijing. The delegation will hold strategic meetings with key government ministries as well as Chinese financial institutions and investment companies. It will also participate in the Joint Economic and Trade Commission and Ethio-Chinese Investment Forum organized by the Ethiopian Embassy in China. Moving on, while sitting on a host of agendas facing the continent, leaders of the 54 African nations saw that their attention was arrested by the AfCFTA, the African Free Trade Area. The 21-year-old continental bloc, AU says, increasing the expansion of coffee production by using AfCFTA among African countries is critical to boost trade relations on the continent. In this regard, Commissioner of Economic Development, Trade, Tourism and Industry and Minerals at the African Union Commission further told our staff reporter that boosting the AFCFTA is crucial to alleviate the socio-economic challenges in Africa. Have a listen to this.
Some 54 African countries have agreed and signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Protocol to accelerate the implementation of the protocol. Briefing journalists, Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Industry and Mining at African Union Commission, Albert Muchanga, said strenuous efforts are needed to scale up the expansion of coffee production by using African Continental Free Trade Area in Africa.
All the activities which bring us here together today are aimed at expanding production across Africa in the area of coffee, and that coffee can be traded across the African Continental Free Trade Area. And the theme is boosting accelerated implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is widely seen as a crucial driver for economic growth, industrialization, and sustainable development in Africa. Despite the opportunities, challenges need to be addressed. Fears of significant tariff revenue losses and an uneven distribution of costs and benefits are among the main obstacles to the continent's integration. Creating jobs to the young generation is also important to bring bright future as well as exploiting youth potential in the continent.
The issue of providing decent jobs to the young people. Africa is a young continent with a median age of 19 years, so the future belongs to the youth, and for them to have a bright future, we need to give them decent jobs, and the African Union is committed very much to facilitating that. So with these few remarks, once more, welcome to this briefing.
CEO of A-Trade Group, Alam Siyum, for his part, said increasing the accessibility of E-Trade is important for small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. He underlined that A-Trade Group is tirelessly working to eradicate extreme poverty and backwardness to realize digitalizing Africa to implement Agenda 2063.
The A-Trade Group has a vision to eradicate extreme poverty by 2037, to create between 80 to 125 million jobs in the continent. For that, we want to work with everyone, public, private sectors, institutions, academia. And that's what is today the example of the announcement that we are putting, the three press conference that we're putting today is one of them is the coffee associations. And the coffee associations, the coffee industry is the second largest commodity in the world.
The A-Trade Group and Inter-Africa Coffee Organization have signed the Memorandum of Understanding to modernize the trade sector in Africa.
What we are witnessing is the signing and exchange of an MOU.
In 1887, the city was founded by Presbyterian, and it was named.
Welcome back. You're still watching Addis News Hour. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture underlines that Ethiopia has been exerting efforts to promote mechanization in the agricultural sector with a view to increasing productivity and strengthening food security. A working group mechanization meeting was underway in Addis Ababa to promote the utilization of machines in agriculture to support agricultural modernization. We have more on that.
In the deliberation, speaking at the occasion, lead executive officer of mechanization at the Ministry of Agriculture, Baraka Forsido, said agricultural sector continues to be an essential component of Ethiopian economy. He added that it has a vital role in ensuring food security, generating overall economic growth, reducing poverty, and in expediting transformation to industrialization. Agriculture in Ethiopia is characterized by small holdings due to high population density, with nearly 2/3 of the population residing in rural areas. The set of challenges facing the widespread adoption of mechanization technologies is spread across the value chain from research and development, manufacturing of agricultural mechanizations, and all the way through after-skill services.
The concern differed among the public, private sector, and this kind of collaboration rendered by sisterly countries like we see today. The current assistance of the working group will argument to the country's endeavor to modernize its agriculture in its conservative growth and transformation plan.
The recent measure taken by the government to exempt all agricultural mechanization from all types of taxes will open a new era to increase the existing agricultural mechanization, he said. Given that agricultural mechanization is only reaching a small subset of farmers today, Baraka stressed the need for significant effort to effectively catalyze mechanization to reach the enriched majority of smallholder farmers.
Ethiopia will continue to learn from developing countries with highest growth rate and top economic of our globe. The ministry and its stakeholders and partners will show maximum collaboration in effecting this working group agenda and its implementation.
He assured members of the group that his ministry will generate the maximum possible benefit from this development cooperation and technical support in the area of farm machinery use, promotion, innovation, and capacity building. The Deputy Manager of Green Innovation Center, Jesse Christine Schulz, said representatives from 15 countries have been participating in the meeting to exchange lessons and learn regarding mechanization in different agricultural value chains.
General mechanization, I think, is an important topic. We have seen this throughout the years that we are working on it. We have very good results that we also want to capitalize here. That's also an objective of this meeting, so that we can highlight and showcase why mechanization is important and what good work we and our partners have been doing over the years on that topic.
The working group was established in 2017 and running until 2026. It was launched.
Now, on its recent overview of the situation of children's rights in Africa and its ongoing activities, the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child disclosed that Ethiopia is in line with the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. In an exclusive interview with Fana Broadcasting Corporate, Ayalo Getachew, Senior Child Protection Officer, said that the country, as mandated by the signed charter, is complying with the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. He added that complying with the charter lets the country undertake protection of children's rights, benefiting them to exercise their rights in the country. Foreign ministers of Germany and France have expressed keenness to reinforce bilateral ties of their respective countries with
Both ministers of France and Germany, they have great concern.
The Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed leaves no stones unturned.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and First Lady Zinash Tayacho hosted a Christmas luncheon for
laboratories in Tanzania and Nairobi.
And Yalen's travels, according to PBS News Hour, will take her from business incubators for entrepreneurs in Senegal.
Today we welcomed the newly appointed Chinese Foreign Minister, King Gang.
It's a unique and spectacular ceremony that must be preserved.
The people are coming and showing their interest about how to celebrate Epiphany, like